Welcome to Create the Edge. On this episode of Stay on the Edge guest series, we have two of our dearest friends and associates from LinkedIn sharing their insights on managing disruption. On the left of your screen, you have Caroline Fernandes from TIR Global, and on the right of your screen, you have Cory Warfield from Schedule Smart Scheduling.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you guys and would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Presenting all the way from the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, which interestingly was the first city in India, believe it or not, to have electricity. We have Caroline Fernandes, coach, mentor, globally renowned thought leader, specializing in mindfulness and showing you how you can use EQ to bridge the gap to an SQ. Now you might ask what SQ stands for. That's the success quotient. So so shows you how to bridge the gap between EQ to SQ. And now all the way from the other part of the world, from a city, which is the only place in the world where its river flows backwards. None other than Chicago, the Windy City. I present to you my dear friend and brother, Cory Warfield. So, Caroline, you've had the privilege of working with one of the world's, or some of the world's largest MNCs. In your opinion, what is the one advice you would give young working professionals to accelerate their growth and create the edge, both professionally as well as personally?
First of all, I'm really honored to be on the show with the both of you. And I think in my experience working with leaders, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, we're in a good time. And, we are at a point where things like authenticity, being really true to who you are in terms of your strengths, your passion, your purpose, is really finding its space. I think there's a lot of opportunity that is emerging and strengthening for people of all ages and not just the youth, because in my experience, people in their 40s and 50s are wanting to switch roles and look at their lives and their careers in a really, really bold way these days. So go for it. Take ownership for your life. Take ownership for who you are as a person professionally. And just embrace everything, because we have an abundance of opportunity. There is the right network if you know what your intention is. Get clear, get bold, be authentic. That would be something that I would personally share with anyone.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for your insight. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, authenticity and just being genuine is that added iota of emotion that is required to build, nurture, and maintain a lifelong relationship. So thank you so much for your insight, Caroline. Really appreciate it. And over to Cory. Brother, you are regarded globally now as a mentor. You have been an employee and now you've transitioned into the dark side, as to so many people feel it to be, and have become an employer. So my question to you is what advice would you give people who are in two minds on whether entrepreneurship is the way forward for them? And what do they need to focus on to create their edge moving forward?
I appreciate that. And I'm going to share something that some people that are familiar with me might know. So about 20 years ago, by all fault of my own, I was homeless on the streets on the Pacific Northwest for about a year. And I picked myself up by the bootstraps and found a good job and worked my way up to that career to where I was making high six figures. And at a certain point, I had over 100 employees underneath me. And it was quite liberating, but I got a little book the size of your hand, and it was probably 15 pages long. And I probably paid 99 cents for it at a grocery store. But effectively, it was called something like How to Become a Millionaire. I'm sure I still have it somewhere in storage. And it literally said, just become the CEO of your life. Look at your life as a business, run your life like a business, and understand that you are in control of the good, the bad, and the ugly. When things work out well, it's a result of your hard work, tenacity, and your mindset. And when things don't work out, it's truly your fault as well. And if you're the CEO of a company, which I now am, you're accountable. You're held accountable. It doesn't matter if it's an employee of mine that screws something up. It's my company. And, you know, I don't say my company internally, it's our company, but at the end of the day, the accountability kind of falls onto my shoulders. And so I would postulate that everyone is an entrepreneur, whether or not they claim that or whether or not they own that. We all are kind of the captains of our own ship and vessel. We do all co-create reality, and we all are, you know, every moment, every breath that we take, we're either creating positive or negative, or bringing good or bad into the world. And what I would say for people is that once you tune into the fact that you already are an entrepreneur, and you already do have an opportunity to bring your intention and your ideas to life, one of the two things that I encourage everyone to kind of do is to stop listening to that inner self-doubt, because so many people have these amazing ideas, these amazing networks, these amazing opportunities, and they don't take that first big step and that leap of faith. And it's really suppressive. And if you're not owning that, then someone else can come in and they can kind of tell you what to do and manipulate you. And, you know, so many people choose to be the employee rather than the employer. And it's such a mindset, because we all have bosses. And so through that lens, we are all entrepreneurs. And it really is just a mindset of how much accountability do we take? How much risk are we willing to take? How much are we willing to go for it? And I think from my experience, if we're in it just to help ourselves, or if we're in it just for personal gain, it becomes really difficult. But if we're in it to collectively collaborate and to collectively get ahead and to collectively try to help one another, which at the end of the day is what every business should do, is should be in business to help people to one degree or another, then it becomes quite easy. To say we're all entrepreneurs, I encourage anyone and everyone to follow their calling, but probably to push their limits, their boundaries, and their comfort zone as well.
Awesome. I think you just sort of put in a nutshell what is required to be a servant leader, Cory, and you epitomize it through everything you do and say.
Things that our viewers really like is the person behind the name, behind the persona. So the question is can you share with us one thing that people wouldn't know from your public persona that we interact with?
You know, I love how you use the word public persona, because I'm all about removing the veils and being completely authentic with my message. And it's kind of interconnected. My response is that, you know, I could be speaking like this, or, you know, addressing like a huge gathering as part of my, you know, work. But I have lived with stage fear for several years growing up, to the point that I would get sick just thinking about the idea of going on stage. And why I'm, you know, choosing to share this is because, you know, your greatest passion, or the greatest thing that you are probably capable of doing and being for yourself and others, could also be your biggest fear. And, you know, that is truly an opportunity for you to move through that fear and work with it and just dive right into it and, you know, get really good at it, because you know that is where your calling is. So that's what I want to share about my fear, but also my passion.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. That really sums it up. That stage fright, address your fear, walk through it, be authentic. Love it. Thank you so much. Brother Cory, take it away.
One thing that I may not have talked about, but I have a huge affinity for big cats and for big animals. I've been in proximity to wild bears before. I've been in proximity to mountain lions, and I've actually very close to a mountain lion with no one around but myself and this mountain lion. I looked at it in its eyes, and I made some noises, and it gave me a little blink, and it turned away, and it walked away slowly and looked over its shoulder at me. And I wasn't sure if we were best friends or if I was about to be lunch, but it was a transformative moment of my life. And I'm not over that, and I never will be. I love big cats. You know, the bigger, the better. Bring me the lions, tigers, you know, the whole 9 yards, jaguars. But I think hopefully that's something that no one that's ever seen me on video or social media has heard before.
I'm gonna call you the Lion Whisperer from now on, Cory. So I think, and Caroline's gonna get the new nickname, the Stage Whisperer. So
Stage Whisperer.
yeah, so the Stage Whisperer and the Lion Whisperer. So yeah, so Thank you so much, both of you, once again, for your time. It was an absolute pleasure for discussing your insights and your views on how you can create the edge. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank